it is time to build some foundations. And in this video, we're going to be doing exactly that. We are going to be learning how to build your foundations in Minecraft because, well, frankly, it's one of the most important things about a building. It determines the shape of your building. It determines so many things. My name is Graffitzi, and with that being said, let's get into it. So welcome to the first episode of Build School. Today we're going to be taking a look at foundations in Minecraft, and I have here a whole bunch of things to go over. So first of all, let's start with what a foundation is. So a foundation is basically a basic framework for your build, and it is probably one of the most important things because it will determine how your build looks. You can make it like this, an L-shaped foundation. You can make it like that, a rectangular one, a square one. It's all up to the foundation, and we will be going over how to build these foundations properly. So there are different types of foundations, and those depend on what kind of build you want to do. So I'm just going to walk you through how you should take a foundation and build upon it. So here we have an example. This is supposed to be an L-shaped house. Now this block right here is the exact center, and I want this to be the door. So let's mark this with some polished andesite. So this is going to be my door, and this is going to be the entrance to the house. Now this of course is a medieval style house, and that doesn't mean that modern houses can't be built in the same fashion, because we have here the same design. I just used polished diorite to mark the pillars, and I've used polished andesite to mark the foundation itself. Now the pillars are also part of the foundation because they are what is going to give you structural integrity. So this is what you're going to be building across. So these pillars are very important because they are what will guide you to how you want the building to look. It's going to give you the shape of the roof as well if you know what height you want it to be. And keep in mind, when you're trying to do this, make sure it looks supported, because one thing I've noticed that people do is they don't actually try to earth the build. Now earthing a build is very important, and I'm going to go over that just here. So if you come over here, you can see this really small platform. Now this is supposed to be a foundation, but what I've seen people do is this. Do not do this. It makes your build look very floaty, and it just doesn't work. So if you have a small gap in the terrain, make sure to fill it in like this, because this will make sure your build looks way better. Now you can see that this is looking like it's planted in the ground, and that is what a foundation should do. It should make your build look like it's on the ground, and it should not move. Another thing you could do is, of course, hide your foundation like I have done over here. So this is a tiny little house, but you can see that there isn't exactly a foundation. Now this is a log cabin after all, but that doesn't mean that log cabins don't have foundations. This actually does have a foundation, and that is on the inside. So if I go down here, you can see that this is actually a foundation that goes all the way around, and we also have a basement section right here. So if I just cover this up like so, you can see that this house also has a foundation. And another thing is that I've also hidden the pillars sort of. I used stripped dark oak because it kind of blends in really nicely, and these are the pillars that give the structure to the roof, and they support the roof and the walls as well. So that's something to keep in mind. And another thing I should point out is when you're doing a foundation and when you're doing a basement, make sure that the foundation and the basement both have the same floor plan. Now a better way of showing this to you would be right here. So if you're building a basement, make sure that it lies within this L shape, because that's how all the foundations are usually built. All the basements are usually built in that fashion, and it's pretty important that you keep to it. Now if your basement feels like it's about to fall apart, if you think that there's no pillars, make sure to add some. So here it's quite a small basement, and I just added 2 pillars going up on either side, and that makes it look like it's supported. Now you don't necessarily have to add pillars because your foundation is there, but I would recommend doing it if it's a very big build. And this brings me on to my next topic, foundations and build sizes. So let's go over that quickly. So we have a small build, and that will require a small foundation. The next one is a medium sized build, which will require a bigger foundation and maybe some internal support. Then you have a mega build. This is a scaled reference. You can have even bigger pillars and also probably more support. Now this is very important. You have to increase the ratio of your foundation according to the size of your build. Now that is one of the most important things. Now I can show you that quite easily with my season 1 Atomic Craft base. So here we have my mega base. As you guys can see, it is actually not supported at all. And the reason for that is quite simple. I didn't really get enough time to finish this, but then again, I did have plans for it, and those plans were this. So this is a pillar design that I made for my Atomic Craft season 1 base, and I never really got the chance to actually use it. I was really planning on supporting it with this kind of a pillar. Now you can see what I'm trying to say. Basically, if you're gonna build big, make sure your foundation is also in that proportion. If you have a small pillar supporting a big build, it just doesn't make sense. So that is quite important. Now, if you don't actually want to build a massive, structure to just support your base or whatever, you can also hide it like I did for this tiny house. Now, unlike this house, what you're gonna have to do is probably hide it by terraforming the area. Now, terraforming is a good way to hide a build. I can't really show it to you here because I haven't done any, but it is a very, very useful way to hide your building. So if you have like a big mountain and if you have a castle on top of that, if you don't want to make your foundation visible, then all you have to do is just place the castle on top, just build up a little bit and just terraform it so that it looks like the castle has sunk into the ground a little bit, and that way it will look like the foundation is quite heavy holding it up, but it's in the ground and you can't see it. And that's another important thing to keep in mind. But these are the house foundations that you can use, and they all depend on what type of house you're building. If you're going for a medieval style house, then go for a medieval style foundation like this, or just if you're going for a modern one, then go for a modern one like that. Now, of course, this is just a foundation video. This is not its own complete video because I will be doing this as a series called Build Schools. If you guys are interested, please do subscribe. I will be bringing a lot of build ideas, tips and tricks all in the future in this series. So if you're interested, make sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And the final thing that I've got to show you has to do with bridges. Now this is probably one of the most important things because I've seen a lot of bridges that look very, very rickety, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're building a bridge like this that goes over the water, always have pillars that go into the water like this. So here's a trick if you guys are willing to use it. Here I've used spruce logs to make it look like it's dry, and if you go underwater you can see I've used dark oak because then it creates that feeling of dampness on the logs, and that is a very good trick. Now if you're building modern bridges, the same principle applies. Always build according to ratio and always build pillars basically. And when you're building a pillar, make sure that it goes all the way down. Make sure it goes all the way down to the riverbed and stuff like that. I would recommend, if you're building on sand or something, then make it go down even more and just, make it go down all the way to gravel or something. Now, if you're a fan of realism, then yeah, just make sure that you build all the way down or just add some support structures. Now, if you're building bigger bridges, then again, you need bigger pillars. And if you are building modern bridges, of course, reference them. So there are plenty of modern bridges that you can use, and suspension bridges are, a completely different story. But again, foundations are pretty important. So if you guys are building this, then make sure to have some pillars. It'll make your build look grounded, and that is what you want. But anyways guys, I hope you all did enjoy this quick video. It has been a really fun one to make, and if you're interested in learning more about building, then make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because I will be making more build school content in the future. So if you're interested in that, make sure to hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching guys. This has been me, Graffitzi. I'm out, and I shall catch you in the next one. See ya.